Have a look at the Big Ten tournament bracket. The winner of this first semifinal will meet the victor of our nightcap doubleheader on Saturday. For now, Penn State and Maryland just watching Michigan and Johns Hopkins. It's great to have you along for the ride. Here with Mark Dixon, I'm Joe Beninati. It felt like we ran through the regular season at warp speed. What should we expect now that we're in the tournament?
I mean, time flies when you're having a good time, and that's what we're going to have in Columbus this weekend. This tournament means something to all four teams. For Hopkins, it's about securing a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. For Maryland and Penn State, I think the winner of our second semifinal game secures a home NCAA tournament game. And for Michigan, can they capture the magic of 23, run to the title, and grab that automatic qualifier?
His 4th season as the head coach running the show from Homewood Field in Baltimore. The top-seeded Blue Jays are in the white jerseys. Michigan, the number 4 seed, in the maize and blue. Wheatfeld right off the draw, going right to the cooker. Quick shot delivered. Erlin makes a steady opening stop there on a BB from Justin Turner.
Yeah, Wheatfeld wins it out the front door. That could have been a sublime start for Michigan. That's going to be a storyline to watch all game long. Wheatfeld will get them possessions. Can the shooting and the offense of Michigan solve Chase Erlin?
This is the 20-year-old sophomore Matt Collison, who hails from north of the border, Scarborough, Ontario, Canada to be specific. Blue Jays into this battle with a mark of 10-3, 5-0 during the regular season run in the Big Ten. Collison off a nice split dodge, left Pedersen there, and he whistled one wide of the goal, guarded by Taylor.
Collison, such a difference maker, scored the game winner in overtime a couple weeks ago as Hopkins beat Ohio State. Him and Peshko, 51 in white. When they get going, they are tough to stop.
Angelis on the throwback, in tight there, looking for the stuff. And it's Taylor making the save on Peshko. Both goalies into the contest from the jump.
And that's a good sign for Michigan. Taylor match stick, went low, smothered it. Big save for the Wolverine netminder.
Bo Pedersen brings it along for Michigan, the grad transfer from Princeton. Second team all-conference performer with the Wolverines this spring. Bottom of the screen, you're seeing the starting lineup for the maize and blue. Aiden Mulholland, tied for 6th on the point-scoring race for the Wolverines, leaves it in the capable cross of Ryan Cohen. Cohen gets into the alley, given a nudge there by outstanding defender Scott Smith. Deliberately through the shot clock now for the Wolverines. Tiernan offers to Mulholland, keeping it hot there. Ow, that one from Cohen dropped down the young defender Quentin Kilrain. And it's Kilrain, nonetheless, who comes up with the scoop.
Kilrain, such a difference maker. A long-stick midfielder, decommitted from Syracuse to come to Johns Hopkins. They move him down to close. And for the last month of the regular season, Kilrain taking the number 1 attackman for each opponent. And what that allows is Scott Smith then to be a little bit more carefree, if you will, have a little bit more leeway to probe and run around the field.
Let him hunt.
Absolutely.
Let him hunt. Jimmy Ayers has the ball for Johns Hopkins in the white, sharing it with Jacob Angelis. Angelis had goals in all 5 Big Ten games in the regular season. Just missed over top of the cage there on a speed dodge. Closest to the ball where and when it leaves the field in lacrosse gets possession. It's rewarded back to Johns Hopkins in the early stages of this scoreless opening quarter. Nice to have you on board with Lacrosse on Big Ten Network. Joe Beninati and Mark Dixon with you from the Ohio State Lacrosse Stadium in Columbus, Ohio on an 80-degree day. First of 2 games tonight. Penn State and Maryland in the offing for the nightcap. Back behind the goal, shot clock's at 7. Quick stick inside, and it's slammed home by Brendan Grimes.
The last 2 shots for Hopkins, Peshko on the inside, and now Grimes, number 9 in white. You can see their 2 behemoths, 2 of the 3 behemoths if you want to count Collison. Grimes is an attackman by nature, playing midfield in college, so he's very comfortable being inside, soft hands. That's a great feed. Michigan is going to have to number up and make sure that they stay on their matchups, because those are 2 slam dunk opportunities. One was saved, that one finds the back of the net.
Coach Milliman has a 15-11 win over Michigan on the docket this season, and in that game, Grimes did score for the victorious Blue Jays. He has markers now in 4 of 6 games against Big Ten competition.
Scored a big goal against Maryland a couple weeks ago at Homewood Field that got the momentum back on the side of Johns Hopkins after they jumped out to a big 3-0 lead, 3-minute non-releasable penalty on Garrett Degnan. Maryland scored 2 in that run. Grimes is the one that broke that run.
On the move, Bauer to the alley, elected not to shoot. That was a low-scoring slugfest against arch rival Maryland for Johns Hopkins. They won at 7-5. Russell Melendez, he has Jack Whitney keeping tabs on him for the moment. Short stick defensive midfielder Grant McCurry in the alley there for the Wolverines. Bauer on the go. Dylan Bauer turns topside. Shot clock's at 30. Trying to swim past his defender McCurry, wouldn't allow it. Stiff defense from the Wolverines. Angeles on the go, off the pick. Work it on around. Peshko will reset for Collison. Melendez isolating against Pedersen. Wouldn't let him get much above goal line, extended there. Bauer leaning a shoulder in. Feed to the interior. It's a tough catch for Degnan. Ball down, and Wolverines come up with a grounder. Put right back on the carpet by Degnan, and the officials say Michigan ball.
That is a break for the Wolverines as they got the pseudo shot clock violation, but McCurry picked it up, which means a reset of the 80, and then the ride for Hopkins dislodged it. Luckily for Michigan, the ball caromed off the ankle of a Blue Jay and gets them possession.
Wolverines clear across the midfield line, setting up for the 6-on-6, putting it in the cross of 20-year-old Bo Lockwood, the 4th leading scorer for Michigan. Lockwood these days playing in the midfield ranks. Mark, when you and I saw Maryland and Michigan early in the season, it was Lockwood who was a real feeder at the attack spot.
Yeah, and that is a tactical move by offensive coordinator Scott Bita. Ryan Cohen, who could play midi and attack, is starting on attack. He's got Scott Smith, number 18 in white, matched up on him. That gives Lockwood a matchup like this way on a shorty.
Boehm keeps it hot there on the outside for Justin Brown. Swinging for Cohen. Wolverines looking for the early equalizer. On a rollback that's snapped wide by Isaac Aronson. Aronson, a captain for Michigan. Shot clock's at 13. Cohen working in, assists in 11 of his 14 games this season. Over the top, Brown fires, he missed it on the short side. 6 seconds to shoot.
Great vision by Cohen. Watch him go to the rack now.
Roll dodge here. Turns back, question mark. Pump that one right to Erlin, who made a good-looking stop. Michigan gets the rebound, though, and Cohen will reset.
That shot, Joe, hit Erlin right as the shot clock was buzzing. So since it hit Erlin, rebound comes to Michigan. That is a reset of 60 seconds. A second chance possession, if you will, for the Wolverines.
This Michigan squad, highly productive offensively. Number 1 in total goals scored by Big Ten teams this season. On the move, wearing 32 today, that's John Morgan. Hesitates, off the hitch. Erlin gets down low to make that save. Another rebound, another offensive set for Michigan.
Good news, Erlin's seeing it and he's saving it. Bad news, he's giving up rebounds, second chance possessions to the Wolverines. And it's warm here in Columbus. This defense is earning their keep in this last sequence.
Temperatures in the high 70s, touching 80. The sunshine is now gone off of the field. The field is mostly in shadow. The lights are soon to take effect. In this first semifinal of 2 with Lacrosse on Big Ten Network. Michigan and Johns Hopkins in the opener, Maryland, Penn State before the night is through. Wolverines on the go. Mulholland looking to get past the check of Raposo. Fires. Erlin makes another straight-up stop there.
I love how Mulholland drew 3 white jerseys, rolled back, had his hands free, but if he's got 3 on him, 2 are open. He elected to take the shot, but a busted clear. Michigan back on 0.
Blue Jays off this turnover, giving the ball right back to Michigan.
Yeah, so far, Joe, I'm seeing a lot of one-on-one from Michigan. Hopkins keeping it hot, finding guys on the interior. Wolverines, other than that skip pass through from Cohen to Brown, which went wide, I'm not seeing a lot of ball movement. More a lot of winning matchup one-on-one. You got to get this Hopkins defense rotating.
Just past the midway mark of the opening quarter, Michigan with 8 of the last 9 shot attempts. Lockwood on the go. Pressured quickly there on the outside by the youngster Kilrain. And Mark, you tell us just how nice of a first impression he's made in this, his freshman season. Lob it over the top. Lockwood against Raposo. Interior, Tiernan, where he makes his best business. He finds the back of the goal.
That's what I'm talking about with Michigan. Moving the ball. It moves faster than your feet. This was about 3.5 minutes worth of defense for Hopkins. Erlin with the save after on the 3rd possession. And then on the outlet, you've got to get the ball from defense to offense. Jackson Raposo just not moving his feet, a little lazy, gets Michigan new life. And look at that feed. That is in between 2 white jerseys. Tiernan with the catch, the poise, and the finish. Big start for number 44.
Both coaches talking about their teams not being afraid to put the ball into tight windows. That was a perfect example of it. Tiernan bags another tally. He broke Mikey Bame's single-season goal-scoring record for the Wolverines this campaign. And just adding to that total, approaching the 50-goal mark.
He wasn't open, per se, Joe. He was covered by 2 guys, but he wasn't covered because one defender wasn't talking to the other, and Tiernan able to get it on his cross and put it home.
Degnan picked up by Case Van Wees on the exterior. Blue Jays in the white jerseys, the top seed in this Big Ten tournament semifinal. McDermott on the hop. Casey McDermott, the senior from Rochester, New York. Angeles driving in, working there against the youngster Mason Whitney. Now this is Hunter Chavette. Behind the goal, McDermott. Angling in against Billig. Angeles working a 2-man game with McDermott over the top. Sizzler to score! Hunter Chavette with a rocket.
Quick answer for Hopkins, seemingly on defense for eternity. And this is Chavette's bread and butter. The lefty can move from any spot on the field, but when he gets a clean look on cage and sets his feet, he is as tough a player to stop. And that's just ball watching on number 89 in the maize and blue, Bo Pedersen. Watch him recognize, head on a swivel, gets to an open spot, takes the feed, and puts it through. The bench loves it.
So far, so good for the Blue Jays. On top by 1 here in Columbus.
Lean years when he joined the conference, only 2021, 2022, losing records, and turned it around in 23. And hard to believe, really, when you think about Hopkins and the success they've had in the Big Ten. First outright regular season championship in history of the program.
Coach was helping us get set for this Big Ten semifinal, and he said, you know, this gang just finds a way to rise up. All the way to a 10-3 mark at the moment. The top seed in the Big Ten tourney on the lead, thanks to goals from Grimes and Hunter Chavette. Tiernan has tallied for Michigan. What else is new? Tiernan, who's come in as the transfer from Lehigh and led the nation in goals for most, if not all, the campaign.
This Hopkins team is experienced. A lot of 5th years, a lot of, Garrett Degnan, 6th year. This is an old team. This is a team primed to make a run, not only at the NCAA tournament, but a national title.
Collison off the hitch, plays catch with Melendez. Blue Jays at the offensive end, working 6-on-6. Neither team's had any extra man duties to this point in the game, just past the 10-minute mark.
And you talk about Michigan, this is a special senior class that has redefined this program, winning a Big Ten title last year, first NCAA tournament victory, quarterfinalist. So got a lot on the line here, a lot of experience in front of us.
Angeles against the short stick defensive midfielder. Snapshot comes wide of the goal from Melendez. Backed up there by Jonathan Peshko. Peshko, who has tallies in 3 of his last 4 outings for the Jays.
And let's keep an eye on Russell Melendez. He's slumped a little bit the last couple weeks, and Hopkins offensive coordinator John Crawley has taken to moving him into the midfield in later stages of the game and putting number 4 in white, Jimmy Ayers, a freshman, down on attack. Shot
clock violation there against Johns Hopkins. They were willing to turn it over late in that shot clock. Melendez had a 3 + 2 = 5 performance against Michigan in the first go-round between these two during the Big Ten regular season. Wolverines put so much emphasis on shutting off and shutting down Angeles that Melendez ran wild.
And that was that little blip that we saw out of number 31, Melendez in white. Big game against Rutgers late. Then he continued his success against Michigan, but unfortunately for the Blue Jay faithful, he started to dip off over the last couple weeks. We see if he can rediscover that mojo.
Gatto on the throwback for Bain. Over the top bouncer here, over top of the goal. Aronson letting it fly. Kept alive by Ryan Cohen on the backup with 3.5 minutes to go in this opening quarter in Columbus, Ohio. Tiernan swivels away from Zulak. Gatto is 25 in the blue. Aronson keeps it hot. Playing it on the wing here for Michael Boehm. A season ago, the Big Ten tournament MVP. Boehm steps inside. That one's deflected and stopped by Chase Erlin.
Michigan not getting great looks on Cage. The step down from Brown and then the feed inside that was a goal, obviously. If you're Hopkins, you played a ton of defense so far in the first quarter. Not only do you feel good where you are, but you're leading in this game. And when we talked about it at the beginning of the show, Joe, this offense for Michigan is going to have opportunities. They've got to convert.
Semifinals Thursday, championship game Saturday. Expecting both coaches, all 4 coaches, in fact, in this semifinal to extend the rosters a little bit. Degnan scores! Garrett Degnan picks the corner.
Even though we're on the road, they still play the "We Want More" song after every time Hopkins scores. Degnan made a play against Maryland, that penalty that really set the tone for that game. And he's such an improved player. He's a guy that only has 4 turnovers on the season. That is mind-boggling for how much he handles, how much he shoots. He's a bomber from down deep, but he's also got those soft hands to get inside the interior of an offense, catch it, turn it, and score.
Goals in 44 straight for Degnan, all 14 this season. A 37% shooter on the campaign. Blue Jays have their largest lead of this opening quarter. Face-off man Logan Callahan comes up with a draw. Callahan led the Blue Jays in ground balls this season. This one's goose to the wing to Angeles. Blue Jays get another offensive touch. Slick stick there from the close defender, Scott Smith.
You can appreciate that, Joe. It's hockey playoff time. A little pass, a little OV to Oshie maybe, even though that's, you know, but that was
no longer functioning right now.
Yeah, in their prime though. You know that was a nice pass from Smith to get that ball on the carpet under control. Beautiful job by number 18 in white.
Angeles on the go against Mason Whitney. Over the head check was timed perfectly by Mason Whitney, forcing the turnover back to the Wolverines.
And that was a great pickup by Rowan Clay, number 3 in the maize and blue. Nifty handle, got out of traffic, but unfortunately, the Wolverines, unforced error on the ride.
Time ticking, getting late in this opening quarter, the first 15 minutes from Columbus, Ohio, where the Blue Jays a 3-1 leader and in possession of the ball. Degnan and Ryan Evans in no hurry as they play catch.
Michigan has slipped into a zone now, trying to mix things up. Defensive coordinator Jim Rogalski throwing a different look at the Blue Jays.
Melendez will swing it. Angeles, as they work it, in a circle. Degnan isolating, picked up there on the outside by Billig. Turn it for an Evans drive. It sails over top of the crossbar.
Clean look from Ryan Evans. I like the way Hopkins, the snappy ball movement, keeping it quick.
Degnan will try Evans again from the top. Degnan on the wing, exchanging there. Cam Chavette, 17 in the white. Brother Hunter already on the board. Here it comes! A missile from Degnan for his second on the day.
The ball movement is what creates the space for big number 40 to step in. This is the thing of nightmares if you're a goaltender. Angelis, you just pay a little bit too much attention to him. That was Van Wees behind the cage, just stepping down a little too far. Degnan recognizes it, shades a couple steps to his right, and this is elementary from that distance with that kind of look for Garrett Degnan.
Degnan, who today breaks the Johns Hopkins games played mark. He shared that with Connor DeSimone. His second tally makes it a 4-1 advantage. Great wing play there by Quentin Kilrain. 4 times this season, he's had 4 or more ground balls in a game. Blue Jays dangerous here. Inside Melendez. He scores.
This is the beauty of number 6 in white, Quentin Kilrain. He is a long stick midfielder by nature. We talk all the time about attackmen who are playing midfield. Well, this is a long stick midi playing close defense. But look at the vacuum. Picks it up clean, and he's off to the races, out the back door. And this is beautiful ball movement. And this is a confidence builder for Russell Melendez. Love how he took the step, gave himself a better angle, knows he's going to get popped. But that is a thing of beauty, a textbook fast break off of the face-off for Johns Hopkins.
Jacob Angelis, arms raised there, happy with his 4th assist of the opening quarter. A 5-1 lead for the Blue Jays. Round and round we go on the draw. Coming up with a face-off win, that's Jackie Weller. Weller going to the goal with a bouncer that's over top of the cage. Weller, the understudy for Wheatfeld.
That would have been a big one had it gone for Michigan. They need something to go their way.
Waning stages of the opening quarter, 2 seconds left. Cohen flicks it inside as the horn sounds, ending the opening 15 minutes with a top seed in charge.
Hopkins was on their heels defensively, extended possessions by Michigan, but once the Wolverines could not solve the boys back of the Blue Jay backline, it was all Hopkins.
Get you back for the second quarter, right after these words. Folks, the State of Success is brought to you by State Farm. Mark, here we see the evolution of Kevin Conry.
Yeah, you know, played defense for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays and then started his coaching career actually at Siena under now Rutgers head coach Brian Brecht. Spent some time in Happy Valley at Penn State. Defensive coordinator at Maryland under John Tillman, helped them win a national championship in 2017, and has really made his mark at Michigan. A program started by John Paul, elevating from club to varsity status. And Kevin Conry's taken him from that kind of Big Ten doormat to a contender and Big Ten champion in 2023.
Blue Jays get control of the opening draw on the second quarter. Remember the first time around in the battle between the Wolverines and the Blue Jays, it was Justin Wheatfeld who was incredible in the first quarter, first half, and then the tide turned.
I think he was, 14 out of 17
yes.
going into halftime, and Logan Callahan then won 7 in a row and turned that game around. Callahan has held his own so far here this afternoon. And it's not good news for Michigan, especially down 4. They need...
Degnan to the roof for the hat trick.
They did not need that, but that is the versatility of number 40 in white, Garrett Degnan. We've seen him score a goal in the interior. We then saw him with a step down against a zone. This one's with the ball in his stick. Just leaks out and some indecision because a short stick defensive midfielder, Michigan's like, you really expect me to stop that? He recognizes that hesitation. Watch the hesitation from the maize and blue off of this feed from Bauer. On his heels, little juke move, see you later, top shelf.
Degnan rattling another one home. That is 13 straight multi-goal games for Garrett Degnan. Blue Jays with 5 unanswered to make it 6-1.
This game's getting away from Michigan now. Another face-off violation, and Hopkins is humming offensively. They are feeling it. Everything that you thought Michigan had to pull the upset in this game has been completely mitigated by Hopkins winning face-offs and being so prolific on the offensive end.
We asked Kevin Connery if he would use a similar game plan to the one that was used in March against the Blue Jays. He said, no, totally different game. We're a totally different team, and he fully expected the Blue Jays to challenge in all phases. And so far, the top seed looking very much the part.
And we've seen the adjustment from Michigan. They put Ryan Cohen on attack. Right away, that switches the matchups. And then you got Bo Lockwood in the midfield. But again, Michigan had their opportunities to really get some momentum in this game. They scored one, but one's not going to cut it against the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays.
The playmaking Angelus has Mason Whitney hung up. Swims away from pressure, turns and fires. Good save there. Had to have it, did Hunter Taylor.
Yeah, you said it. He had to have that save. They got it. Now it's Michigan that has been playing a ton of defense. They need a solid offensive possession if the early look isn't here. And they've got to get number 5, Michael Boehm, involved in this offense. And an interesting timeout call by Kevin Connery. Probably senses that his defense might need a blow, set things up, and let's try to get marker number 2.
It's a chance for us to step away from Ohio State Lacrosse Stadium here in Columbus, where the Blue Jays have revved out to a 6-1 early lead.
Big offensive possession for Michigan. I think Kevin Connery recognizes the enormity of this possession. Called the timeout. They want the perfect setup to try to cash in.
The lone Michigan goal coming from Justin Tiernan. It tied the score at the time 1-1 early in the opening frame. We're just about 3 minutes into the second quarter now. Cohen looking for more. Throwback, Mulholland. Well defended on the outside once again by Deans. Patrick Deans, 46 in the white for the Blue Jays, close defense. Long stick midfielder there, turn! It's Boehm finding the corner.
A gigantic goal for Michigan, and how fitting. Mikey Boehm, all-time leading scorer in Wolverine lacrosse history, scores it. Hopkins was shutting Boehm off with number 77, Hunter Juronsky. Loose ball behind the cage, allowed Boehm to get the ball, got some separation, and then it's shorty on shorty. Juronsky falls down, Martin comes out with a poor approach. Boehm gets in on him, rolls away from the pressure, and solves Erlin far post. That is a beautiful individual effort from Mikey Boehm.
Number 5 had 5 points in the loss to Johns Hopkins in March. As we focus in on Wheatfeld and Callahan, there's a violation against the Blue Jay face-off man that gives Michigan the ball. John Morgan with tallies in 3 of his last 4. Picked up on the perimeter by Brandon Aviles, the grad transfer from Syracuse.
And we'll see Hopkins go as many as 6 deep. And you see the black tape on Brett Martin, who's not on the field. He's been nursing an ankle injury. That is a huge goal because your best player just scores.
Ronda fires, he scores! Christian Ronda.
Hail to the victors, 2 in a row for the Wolverines. No disrespect, but when you have the second-line defensive midfielders in, and Hopkins does on this occasion, you test them immediately. And this is just miscommunication. A lot of chasing. There's no reason to fly off of that matchup the way that Ortega does. And Rhonda senses it and says, if you're not going to play me, you're going to give me this much space, roll out the red carpet here at Ohio State Lacrosse Stadium, and that's the end result.
Christian Rhonda, 23-year-old grad transfer from Princeton, the 5th leading scorer for Michigan. Back-to-back tallies for the Wolverines and another face-off control for Wheatfeld. Wheatfeld, 4th best in the nation, better than 62% this season.
And that's the weapon that Michigan has. And if he can start to get hot against Logan Callahan, who really neutralized him in the first meeting, was getting the better of him. And now the substitution game, Michigan has numbers.
Morgan, give it right back for Boehm. Jitterbugs to the middle, does not pull the trigger, settles in 6-on-6 for Michigan in blue as we near the 4-minute mark of the second quarter.
Such a subtly smart play by Boehm. He had a shot, but he recognized the shorty matchup, so he said, I'm going to pull it out, and I'm going to go from a clean set. And he still has that short stick matchup on Aviles if Michigan wants to take advantage.
Boehm will exchange with Ryan Cohen. He's marked by Raposo. Skip it over the top. This shot from Rhonda didn't get through. It hit Zulak. Ball down, and it's once more a ground ball pickup for Patrick Deans. Looking for numbers, Kilrain. Look away, pass is a beauty. Ayers was stonewalled there by Taylor at the doorstep.
Terrific transition offense for Johns Hopkins. How about that outlet pass from Deans to Kilrain? I mean, that was on a rope, a thing of beauty. Kilrain was able to catch it in stride. Last offensive possession for Michigan. They had shorties on Cohen, number 40 in blue, as well as Boehm, number 5. I love how they recognized it right away and skipped it across the field. And that was just unfortunate that that shot didn't really make it to cage for a huge save opportunity for Erlin.
Aronson in possession for the Wolverines, drawing a couple defenders. Sharing the ball with Justin Brown. Tiernan, a long way from the cooker. Shot clock's at 30. Michigan in no hurry. Tiernan will advance towards a goal against Aviles. There's going to be a call against the Blue Jay short stick defensive midfielder. Extra man time coming up now for the Wolverines.
It's almost like Hopkins. Their shorties out there running around like chickens with their head cut off. Going to be a hold call against Michigan for Michigan, on Hopkins. So Michigan man up for up to 30 seconds. But, Joe, it's almost like they're in a backer zone with the shorties, meaning watch, well, there's the hold. But prior to that play, when Tiernan went to the cage and got a step on Aviles, Raposo comes out with a quick slide. And it's almost like they're creating offense for Michigan when they do that.
Should I be here? Should I not?
Yeah.
And if I run away,
it looks like chaos. And I don't know if that's design, but it just looks really sloppy, and Michigan taking full advantage.
Michigan, 44%. You see top of the screen on extra man this season. That's Lockwood. Very good distributor behind the goal with Boehm. Boehm turns on the sneak, rattles it home. Michael Boehm strikes again.
At 6-1, Hopkins getting downhill on Michigan. You're like, oh boy, this thing could get ugly. Credit the Wolverines, and that timeout by Kevin Connery is looking like a stroke of genius at this stage. Extra man, and look at the aggressiveness for Hopkins. So basically now it's 5-on-4, and Boehm just is able to get a step and just get a little sliver. He pays the price. Zulik, borderline late hit, but sends a message that if you come into the Blue Jay kitchen, you're going to pay the price. But again, a big-time player making a big-time play. And how about the little ricochet, little pinball? Looks like it hit the pipe, hit off the back of Erlin, and then found the back of the cage. Little lady luck for Michigan.
That last replay look sure showed you that. 3 goals in a row for Michigan in just about 4 minutes. There's another flag down.
Which means it's going to be against Michigan, you have to assume, with the referee killing the play.
Messers Holland, Belk, and Sexton in the zebra stripes for this one.
It looks like Hopkins is setting up for a man-up opportunity. We'll see what the call is. It's a cross-check against Michigan.
Giving the Blue Jays the extra man. And Johns Hopkins squad clicks it better than 56%. Pedersen gets the gate for the cross-check. Now the Blue Jays look to stem the tide and put an end to a 3 unanswered goal run by the Wolverines.
That is a gigantic call for the Blue Jays to try to stem the tide of this 3-goal Wolverine run.
Degnan plays it to the wing. Swing it on around, look to the interior. That bouncer's handled by Taylor. As Collison was looking for the conversion there. The Wolverines shorthanded. The keeper driving up Hunter Taylor and making a smart-looking clear all the way for Bain, who has 2 of the 3 Wolverine goals in this second quarter.
I really like Taylor out of the cage. That was a nice play by him. Angeles was hounding him. Taylor kept his composure, goes out the front. But the guy, I don't know, Joe, it's a little bias, I guess. A guy wears those baggy sweatpants. You figure he probably can't move all that well. And he's an athlete. He is really impressive out of the cage.
Let you in on a little secret. I think those sweatpants are just there for protection. It's just one little layer of protection.
It's a ruse.
Throwback, Bronda, then Cohen. Off the face dodge, that pass is low for Mulholland. Big hit to the interior, and coming away off the ground, a nice scoop there for Cody Ince.
Big boy ground ball by Cody Ince. The confidence, the explosion. First-time grounders are so important anywhere on the field, but particular in front of the cage, because if you geek it, that's an opportunity for the offense. Nice job by Ince.
Clearing time for the Blue Jays in white. Along with Mark Dixon, I'm Joe Beninati. 3 cheers for all the men and women in our technical crew here in Columbus, Ohio, and in Chicago as well. Lacrosse on Big Ten Network continues, the first of 2 semifinals. As they dig for it on the end line, the officials say Michigan ball.
Terrific effort both ways. Degnan for keeping it in. Peter Milliman is hot. He's saying he wanted a timeout. And Degnan did get possession of that ball. No dice. Michigan with possession.
Lockwood pounding this one off the turf for Isaac Aronson. Captain for the Wolverines, picked up on the outside by Hunter Juranski. Mark told you the Blue Jays will go 6 deep at short stick defensive midfield tonight. Gatto into the alley. 19-year-old freshman from Roslyn, New York. Change the point of attack for Lockwood. Dynamic feeder from the angle, just missed it over top of the crossbar.
And again, Hopkins, number 18 in white, Scott Smith, kind of like that backer now with a pole. A little bit of a backer zone is what it looks like from the Blue Jays.
Smith, the first team all-conference defender. Aronson trimmed that one too fine off the outside of the goal. Wolverine still with it, a pass, it's deflected. Bounding towards the midfield line and out of bounds. It will stay Michigan ball.
Peter Milliman still talking to the officials about what he believes is a missed timeout. He's a pretty even-keel guy on the sideline. For him to be hot like that, you feel like the refs really missed something.
Cohen, jitterbugs in against Smith. Here comes a double from Juranski. Snapshot score! Fabulous goal by Ryan Cohen.
Player 1, Bame. Player 2, Ryan Cohen. This is a great individual effort, but it's more lack of execution defensively for Hopkins. Cohen's going to get himself into no man's land without an exit strategy. And just stick swinging by the Blue Jays doesn't cut it. Watch number 40 in blue engage, then he's going to step away. Here's where you got to take body if you're 77 in white, Hunter Juranski. He doesn't. He sneaks it inside pipe. I think he confused Trace Erlin. And Peter Milliman not happy with that last sequence.
Stewing on the sideline for the Blue Jays, who've seen their 6-1 lead evaporate at 6-5 now as Callahan wins the draw for Johns Hopkins. Cohen back at the 30-goal plateau. Whistle here. And once again, the coach barking all the way to the official's ear.
Gets the timeout, and he said, that's the one I called before. We got picked up on our mic. So the emotion of the Big Ten tournament on full display here in Columbus, Ohio.
This time around, they wanted to stay more on tempo.
And an interesting relationship that they have. Ravens head coach John Harbaugh spoke to the team in the fall, and they've maintained that relationship, and they actually sought his counsel on how they handle an off week or a bye week in the NFL, and took some of his advice in terms of the approach.
Second-seeded Maryland had the bye week as well, leading into their semifinal matchup. That comes later tonight on Big Ten Network, Maryland and Penn State. Right now, we're involved in a good one. Flag down. Soon to go extra man are the Blue Jays in white. Dylan Bauer in possession. Bauer stretching the Michigan defenders. Gets it right back from Collison. Leans in on Carson Billick. Bauer skip it on through. Ayers, no shooting room. Mason Whitney right there with him. Brother Jack keeping tabs on Angelus as we hear the whistle.
So the slow whistle is killed as referee signals that a Blue Jay player stepped in the crease. This is going to be interesting. I think this is going to be unnecessary roughness. So it'll be up to 1 minute. So the officials deem that the run through of the pick unnecessary. Roberts, number 9 in blue, lowered the shoulder. You can see that right shoulder being lowered ever so slightly. Watch the right shoulder of number 9. So therefore, the officials determined that he saw the pick, could have avoided collision, did not. Hopkins goes up.
Kahal Roberts has a seat, a transfer from Princeton, known to create a lot of havoc on the field. Johns Hopkins goes extra man. Peshko, Degnan from the top. Degnan already with a first half hat trick. Angelus already with 4 assists. Degnan off the ball fake with Peshko. Degnan setting his feet. Peshko fires. That's off the post. Huge rebound to midfield and then some. Bame put a hat on his defender, Smith, and comes away with a lacrosse ball.
That was weird. Did Smith not go for the ball? That looked like he had a clean opportunity to pick it up and elected not to. I'd have to see that on replay to be definitive, but that was not a wise play from an all-Big Ten performer.
We drift below 4 minutes to go in the opening half. Throughout this spring, we've been celebrating 10 seasons of lacrosse on Big Ten Network. Glad to have you on board for the men's tournament semifinal. Big Ten women's lacrosse tournament from Evanston, Illinois. Snapshot here. Erlin makes a good save on Lockwoods. Advances towards the crease. Earlier in the day on the women's bracket, Northwestern outlasting Johns Hopkins by 1, keeping their lengthy home field win streak alive in Evanston.
That was a gritty game. That was a game where Hopkins lost 2 of their better offensive players. Bailey Cheatham got a second yellow card, which eliminated her from the game, and then later Ashley Mackin went down on a no call after scoring a goal. And credit Northwestern, the Wildcats outlasted the Blue Jays, and they'll play for a Big Ten Women's Championship.
Penn State, last time we checked, 7-5 leaders over Rutgers. That's been a weather-delayed second semifinal by the Lake. 6-5 here for Hopkins in white. Angelus rolling in against the defensive McCurry. That pass too hot to handle. It gets away from Cam Chavette.
Let's take another look at that ball. That's okay. So Smith went for it, but that was just a little sloppy. Maybe he heard some footsteps. Number 5 in the maize and blue. That last turnover, Joe, bad spacing for Hopkins. And the pass for Angelus just had way too much pepper on it. And we have seen the switch. Jimmy Ayers, number 4 in white, now on attack for the Blue Jays. Melendez running out of the box.
Michigan takes the timeout.
late and coughed it up on some sloppy execution. Navy, they were up big in that game and just coughed it up at the end. Syracuse is the only one that you point to and say, okay, I think the Orange may have outplayed the Blue Jays on that day.
Just over 2 minutes left in the first half. Ronda going to the goal, sent it high. Diving back up from Bame. They'll award him the ball, closest to the ball where and when it leaves the field on a shot, maintains possession for Michigan. Zuluk was in the vicinity as well for the Blue Jays. On the moves, it's Bame, picked up by the freshman Kilrain. Jaronski there gets picked off of Morgan. Gets back to challenge Bame as he'll look behind the goal for Cohen. Cohen finds the open man, Ronda, and a split save from Chase Erlin.
Love that skip. Beautiful save from Erlin.
High in the air, as is the flag that's about to hit the turf. Michigan with a ground ball, first time there for Mulholland. Wolverines are about to go extra man. They've got a reset to 60 on the shot clock with 80 left in the half.
Yeah, I didn't see the number of Michigan, the player who got hit, but I think, you know, that was a pretty aggressive hit. I think we're going to have a legal body check or unnecessary roughness, and now Michigan resettling and trying to get something going.
Scrambly here for Cohen going to the cage. Another kick save for Erlin as he traps it in the crease. The Blue Jays go a man down.
That's a big save for Erlin. He's dialed back in after being barraged in the early portion of this second quarter. Officials now getting together. I think they're trying to figure out what the call is going to be. Are they going to call head and neck contact? Will it be non-releasable, locked in, or a releasable foul? Remember, much like the regular season in the Big Ten tournament, there is no video review for the officials.
Call being made after this.
So they're going to go cross-check. It was Tiernan getting the Malachi crunch inside. That's a good call. Arms are extended up in the head and neck area, but not a head and neck call, meaning this is a releasable foul. Should Michigan score, Hopkins will be back at even strength.
The Malachi crunch. You're going all the way back to Happy Days.
Oh, that was one of the best shows ever.
Long time ago.
Hey.
Bame fires, scores! The bounce shot to the upper corner.
The Fonz would love that one. High bouncers will go. Michigan taking full advantage of the EMO opportunity, just getting this Hopkins defense rotating, and there's great recognition from Mikey Bame. This is equivalent to a three-point shooter in basketball saying, I'm going to step up, and I might have to step inside a three-point arc, but I'm going to get into my comfort zone, and I'm going to deliver a strike. That is textbook overhand bouncer. You can see Erlin thought it was going to come up a little shorter, and all of a sudden we've got a tie game.
Rare to see Johns Hopkins surrender 5 goals in this second quarter. It's the most they've allowed in the second frames this season, and we are brand new at 6-6 in Columbus. Field still bathed in sunlight off of this ground ball exchange. Cohen to the goal. He'll score. Michigan on top for the first time tonight.
A tale of 2 quarters. And once again, it's sloppy ground ball play by Hopkins that gives Michigan this opportunity. We go from the face-off, and this is where I'm about to say, this is where you have a 3-on-3 opportunity, really 6-on-6. Hopkins comes away with a tough ground ball. Love it. But then the knockdown, the tenacious approach by Jack Whitney, and then number 6, Quentin Kilrain. That does not happen. Number 6 in white does not miss ground balls. He misses that one. Bame picks it up. Slickness on display with the BTB pass, and Cohen sends it home, and all the momentum has shifted to go blue.
2 tallies in 18 seconds. Michigan grabs the advantage. Callahan takes the draw, subsequently from Wheatfeld, then forced it to the interior, but there was a timeout call. Johns Hopkins gets the timeout, and you can see the reaction of Kevin Conry. In the first half of play, watching the Blue Jays work now offensively. Time ticking down to 16. Ayers with the speed, working against Mason Whitney. Ball down. Jack Whitney looking for the cause. Turnover. Gets help on the scoop. Another flag as Pedersen hit the turf. And the horn sounds, ending the opening 30 minutes.
We're going to have to look at the replay on this one. In real time, that looked like a real tough call as Pedersen picked up the ground ball, did a little whirling dervish.
White 51, cross check, 1 minute. 80 on the shot clock.
So it's the cross check. Flag down denotes possession. Michigan will begin the second half without a face-off. That's, it's there. Michigan benefits. They'll have the ball with no face-off to start the second half, a man up. Reverse the trend.
It's been wall-to-wall Big Ten Tournament lacrosse this afternoon and early evening on Big Ten Network. Women's and men's action unfolding. Wolverines in this first semifinal in the men's bracket wearing the blue. Starting on extra man, Boehm had the hot stick at the end of the second quarter. Cohen a couple of first half goals as well. Boehm playing a two-man game with Aronson. Switch the point of attack. Lockwood looks inside. It's rolled wide by Cohen. It'll be Boehm's ball for Michigan on the end line.
Yeah, some window dressing with that one-sided catch, trying to free Cohen up for that little streak.
Ohio State Lacrosse Stadium, Columbus, Ohio, the host city for the Big Ten Tournament. Buckeyes eliminated from the Big Ten Tournament by their arch rivals, Michigan in blue. Lockwood, fenced in by Zuluk, flicks that one to the crease. It's an easy intercept. Blue Jays long stick midfielder Luke Martin subbing out as Johns Hopkins looks to clear. Early stages, just now the second minute of quarter three.
Yeah, really sloppy, ill-advised behind-the-back opportunity from Lockwood. After I thought it was really good discipline by, I believe it was Aronson on the far side. A little pump, doesn't shoot it, gets it back to a better space, and big break for Hopkins. Now they have to try to get the momentum back on their side and some offensive rhythm, offensive flow.
Coach Milliman says this guy, Dylan Bauer, 7 in the white, doesn't get enough credit for when the team's offense is functioning as well as it can. This sophomore sure does. Collison, third best in goals and points. Great matchup there with Pedersen. Here comes the double. Collison flicking it away from the advances of Rowan Clay. Rowan's brother Bryce, a former Wolverine captain. Peshko sweeping from the top. Measured there by Carson Billett. Blue Jays playing a two-man game. Collison powering in. Late in the shot clock, he sent it over top of the goal. Backed up there by Dylan Bauer.
Russell Melendez back on attack for the Blue Jays.
Bauer sprints in, tries to go inside roll, then looks for Angeles. That pass is too tall. It's a turnover to Michigan.
You know, this happens to the Hopkins team, and it's happened quite a bit in 2024. They get in these offensive lulls and just seem to lose their cohesion, lose their rhythm. And I think we're witnessing it right here. Jacob Angeles just out of sync after, what, 4 assists?
Yes.
Early in the game, he has been a non-factor and actually a little bit of a turnover machine.
On average, the Blue Jays only commit 14 per game. That's 4th fewest in the nation. They are normally more buttoned up than what they've shown so far in the first 33 minutes. 6-on-6 here for Aiden Mulholland. 4 different 2-goal games for him during the season. Gets to the interior, bounced that one wide of Chase Erlin. Run down by the Wolverines, who will maintain possession.
Again, you can see that black tape as Mulholland looks a little shaken up, getting off the turf, but that black tape around number 12 in white, Brett Martin's ankle. He's a warrior. He's been dealing with it, fighting through it.
Sidewinder, score! Mulholland.
Number 27 in the maize and blue. Was he playing possum after getting hit in the middle of the crease? Got up, looked like he had the wind knocked out of him, but does a nice job. He's just going to leak out to the backside of this Hopkins defense. And this is beautiful vision from Ryan Cohen. Sees number 27, and look at the catch and release. Just like Torrey Casemeyer, who got skills, teaches all of his shooters. Catch, eye it up, and let it fly.
Mulholland's 15th on the campaign, 7 in a row for Michigan. Their first 2-goal lead on the night. Temperatures been hovering in the 70s, low 80s most of the day. It's going to be a beautiful night for lacrosse. The first of 2 Big Ten men's tournament semifinal round play. Ayers for the Blue Jays. Picked up on the outside by Cahal Roberts. Cause turnover machine, 9 in the blue. His next cause turnover will equal the single season mark of Nick DiCaprio back in Wolverine days.
Wow, remember that name?
Sure.
What a player.
Angelus off the roll. Pedersen there looking for the lift check. Ayers has room to operate. Shot clock's at 30. Blue Jays deliberately circle it up. Maneuvering in with some power here, McDermott. Melendez shifting gears. Has room to fire. Stopped there by Taylor, and he'll come up with the scoop.
Real nice save. And I like Casey McDermott, number 33 in white. Gave it up to Melendez and said, come on, let's go. I want to set a pick for you. Melendez, that was a clean look. But Taylor steps up big with a really, really nice save. And Hopkins, the dry spell continues for the Blue Jays.
Grandstand shadows enveloping the field now. Aronson on the go. Run down there from the backside by Carson Brown. As the Wolverines will settle in 6-on-6. 5 minutes old are we in the third quarter. Justin Brown, who once had a 5-goal game against Penn State on his resume back in 22. Tiernan, swing it quickly. Lockwood slams a foot in the turf there to lose Jaronski. Cohen is next. Then Bain. One-on-one against Raposo. Here comes the help from Jaronski. Bain flick it inside. Snapshot there sent wide by Tiernan.
What a great handle by Tiernan. He was handcuffed, still got it off with some juice. Remember last year in the Big Ten tournament, Justin Brown made that speedy run. He's got that big play ability, that burst to make something happen. We'll see if Michigan tries to get the ball on his stick.
Tiernan, goals now in 27 straight. This one flicked in. They'll count it.
Everything going Michigan's way right now. Nothing going the way of Johns Hopkins. And again, it's Mikey Bain, the alpha. He's got a hockey background. And watch the shot. It looks like it doesn't get to the cage. And there's Bain, little slap shot. Hold your ears, Joe. His favorite athlete of all time, Sidney Crosby of the Pittsburgh Penguins. And there he shows a little slap shot ability as Bain, Johnny on the spot, collects the garbage and puts it into the Blue Jay net.
I am more than fine with Sidney Kidd.
I was offended.
No. Fantastic gentleman and ambassador and future Hall of Famer for his Pittsburgh play. They scramble forward off the draw. The official is going to award the ball to Michigan after the push.
Yeah, we had Mikey Bain on our podcast, the D-Fly Dixie podcast this week. He's an Ohio native. And you know how he came up with Sidney Crosby? He played hockey when he was younger, and he did a GPS of what's the closest hockey city, and it was Pittsburgh. And he said, okay, I got to go with a Penguin, and I'm going to go with Sidney Crosby. Good choice.
Pretty good. Justin Brown ready to go. Working in against Patrick Deans. Wolverines enjoying their largest lead in this semifinal. They were trailing at one point, 6-1. Cohen Serves to Tiernan. Off the face dodge, he sent it wide of Chase Erlin. Backed up there by Isaac Aronson.
This is a Hopkins team that just has to continue to hunker down, weather the storm, get a stop here, and then try to get this offense on track. You just feel like if one drops, that's going to really open things up for Hopkins. But who's going to be able to step up and make that play?
Boehm looking for his 5th now. Set it for Cohen, keep it hot. Whistler right on, and Erlin slams the door there on Lockwood.
Yeah, those are the saves you need to keep the game at a 3-goal disadvantage. And now the offense got to clear it clean. And now the offense has to go to work if you're Johns Hopkins.
Degnan had the first half hat trick. He's picked up on the perimeter by Case Van Wees. Peshko, not heard from yet on the score sheet. Peshko with goals in 3 of his last 4. Johns Hopkins at 10-3, a perfect 5-0 through the Big Ten regular season. Bauer working for Melendez, who glides into this drive. Lets it go, he scores! Russell Melendez breaks a lengthy scoring run for Michigan.
It starts with Chase Erlin. He's been a difference maker all year for Johns Hopkins. This is a good scoring opportunity for Michigan. Erlin shuts the door. Think back to the Big Ten opener for Johns Hopkins. They had a lead. Rutgers caught up. They went to zone, did the Scarlet Knights. Who came to the rescue? Number 31, Russell Melendez. This is just great footwork by number 31 in white to get topside, and that shot, authoritative, with zest into the upper 90.
Ending the 8-goal blitz from Michigan. First tally for the Blue Jays in quite some time, as you see at the top of your screen. And they get possession. McDermott off of this draw with the ground ball.
We're seeing McDermott now playing more, taking the wing on the face-off. He'll stay for an offensive shift, as the second midfield is a rotation of about 5 or 6 guys for Hopkins. It's McDermott, Ayers. Now you have Chavette back out there. We've seen Ryan Evans. We've seen Brendan Grimes. Which combination is going to be the one to get the foothold and make things happen for the Blue Jays?
Melendez, who had no points in the last couple of games, Ohio State and Maryland. He's on the board twice tonight for Johns Hopkins. McDermott runs the flip with Hunter Chavette. Angeles will track it down. Defended there on the outside by Mason Whitney. Angeles drawing 2. Gets into the alley and rolls back. Feed it to the crease. Nobody home. Cahal Roberts was there for Michigan. They sell out for it. It belongs to the Wolverines.
Angeles just looks lost. And that is not what you see out of 23 in white. For my money, he's the one Hopkins player they can't afford to lose. Here in this situation, he can't afford to play poorly. And he just looks completely discombobulated out there. Long
feed sets up Cohen on a sprint towards the cage. Shut down there by Quentin Kilrain. Wolverines on top by 2. Less than 6 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. The winner of this one gets the winner of our nightcap game. Expected to come your way approximately 8:30 Eastern time. Maryland and Penn State. Mulholland. Split dodge, back for Boehm. Boehm wrestling with Raposo. Fires, he scores! Boehm has his 5th.
B-O-E-H-M, 5 letters. Spell his last name, Boehm. N-A-S-T-Y is another 5-letter word, and that is what this shot is from Michael Boehm. Watch him come off of the screen. He's going to take on a double team for Hopkins and use a defender as a screen. Look at that shot. Look at the placement. Mikey Boehm, first team All Big Ten, is playing like an absolute stud.
10 multi-goal games this season. His second 5-goal contest. Michigan loves it in Columbus. 12. Madison Taylor had 5 goals. Izzy Skane was held to just 1 in that contest.
That is no easy task. Penn State handed Northwestern their only conference loss in 2024. And in a post-game interview, Madison Taylor was asked if Penn State gets through, and she said, we would love to get some revenge, and if that score holds, they'll have that opportunity.
Blue Jays and Wolverines in the men's bracket. This is the first of 2 semifinals. Bounce shot here, Mulholland high in the air. Erlin has it. That Penn State game going on right now on the Fox Sports app. You can track that down. Johns Hopkins getting a 4-goal performance from Ava Angelo earlier today, and it was Abby Hurlbrink who hit the post at the buzzer, preventing that game from going to overtime. Kilrain runs here. He's tracked down. Get a whistle there.
Another mental mistake for Hopkins, off sides against the Blue Jays. They can't get out of their own way at this stage of the game. I thought that break would settle them down a little bit, allow them to catch their breath. You have to think pressure. Is the pressure getting to the Blue Jays?
Kevin Connery always aggressively pacing on that sideline for Michigan. Likes what he sees right now with a shade more than 4 minutes with which to work in the 4th. His Wolverines on top by 3. Joe Beninati, Mark Dixon with you just past the bottom of the hour. Big Ten men's lacrosse tournament semifinals. Gatto on the go. Wolverines trailed heavily in this game, down 6-1 at one point. Cohen and Bain helping to lead the comeback. Cohen runs through the over-the-head check of Smith and sent it wide of Erlin. Backed up on the end line. It'll stay Michigan ball for Bo Lockwood.
I love how the Michigan offense is continuing to challenge this Hopkins defense. There's no back down. There's no fear in this Wolverine team.
Aronson with a whistler that goes high. Gatto will bring it in off the end line with 22 seconds to shoot. Cohen picked up on the perimeter. Zuluk is with him. Another moving pick call. This time it's against the Wolverines. As the Blue Jays in white take possession, they're off and running.
This is an opportunity.
Aviles looking for numbers. Wolverines get back in the hole.
Look at that shot differential right now, Joe. Double, little more than double for the Michigan Wolverines. They are just playing loose, fearless. Thought that Melendez goal would put some giddy up in the step of the Blue Jays. It just hasn't worked out that way.
Dylan Bauer on the go. Measured on the outside by Clay. Melendez wants the rock, working in against Jack Whitney. Peshko. No shooting space for him. Melendez will circle it back behind to Bauer. Inverted against Clay, around the Peshko screen. Here comes the Wolverine help. Shot clock's at 20.
Michigan in a little bit of a zone, packing it in, not extending out.
Collison switched it off for Angeles. Then sets a pick. Feed it inside. That's a tough catch for Peshko. Off the ground. Here come the Wolverines are running. Mason Whitney bluffs it. Keeps it to the outside. Tiernan. They look for the trailer break here. Bouncer off the crossbar from Boehm. Looking for a half a dozen today.
Wow, Hopkins catches a break on that. Beautiful bounce shot. Just doesn't spin the other way for Michigan. And Hopkins, they've trailed big on this field before, Joe. A couple weeks ago, they were down by as many as 5 to Ohio State. Chipped away, won the game in overtime. They just got to find some way, somehow, and a midfield combination that can really create something and get Michigan off kilter defensively.
Blue Jays won that game 11-10 in extra time. Ayers, quick feet, rolling back. Melendez directing traffic for the Blue Jays, the top seed at 10-3 in the Big Ten tournament. Michigan, a mark of 8-6. Ayers sprints. Throw it back, Melendez off the hitch. Gets to the inside, well defended there. Wolverine swarmed him. Ayers running after a ground ball with 18 seconds to shoot. Grimes on the isolation. Roll back and fire. That's easy pickings for Hunter Taylor.
Yeah, I thought Grimes had the deception going. I don't think Taylor saw that come out of his stick, but the placement, if you send that far post, you might have a better opportunity. Taylor was able to pick it up because it was to his strong side.
This is the 13th ever meeting between these two schools. Johns Hopkins has won 11 of 12. First meeting back in 2013. Michigan threatening the upset in the Big Ten tournament now with less than a half a minute to operate in quarter three. Mulholland leans in against Jaronski. Morgan knocked down. Always around that ball is Quentin Kilrain. And it is Kilrain who comes away. Skipping this one towards the goal as the third quarter comes to its end. And Michigan and Johns Hopkins down the stretch for you. The final 15 minutes will begin with the Wolverines on top tonight, and look at how things changed after the Blue Jays raced out to a 5-1 lead. The fourth quarter unfolds. Callahan wins the opening draw. Blue Jays need to string some points together. Maryland and Penn State waiting for the nightcap to unfold here at Ohio State Lacrosse Stadium in Columbus, Ohio. Beautiful day and night for lacrosse action. We'll play for the title Saturday here at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Absolutely gorgeous weather, can't beat it. And Logan Callahan does what he needed to do, wins a faceoff. Michigan needs Justin Wheatfeld to be Justin Wheatfeld and dominate the dot here in the final stanza.
Coach Milliman says his team has stayed together all season long. The guys have come together. They've dug in at the end of games when they needed to. They'll need to do some digging this time around against the Wolverines with 14 and change to go in the fourth. Melendez circle it up. Angeles on the exterior. Most of the day, Mason Whitney with him. Bouncer kicked out by Taylor. Rebound is loose. They scrap for it off the artificial turf. It'll stay Johns Hopkins with Garrett Degnan.
Crafty ground ball, just throwing it into space. And you saying Degnan's name, we haven't mentioned it
in a while.
In 2+ quarters. He's got to get involved.
All time in Big Ten tournament action, the number one seeds are 7-1 in semifinal play.
And guess who that one loss was? It was Michigan, beating Penn State last year.
Angeles hiding back behind the goal. On the go, Bauer. Not much there. Good defense right on the hands. Once more was Van Wees, and that forces the turnover.
Great pressure by Van Wees, but still just catching and throwing for Johns Hopkins. It's the fundamentals have disappeared with Hopkins at stretches in this game.
Seeing how the number 4 seeds have done in these semifinals, a point that Mark was making just a few moments ago. 2 minutes clear in the fourth. Michigan now in the driver's seat. Boehm, a huge reason why, with 5 goals and counting. He had 5 against Canisius earlier this season. Working in, Boehm in no hurry. The same Boehm who had an 8-goal game against Ohio State last season.
Michigan needs to stay aggressive here. They need to continue to pressure, score goals, and then again, hope Justin Wheatfeld can be that alpha at the face-off dot.
On the go, John Morgan. Deans is wrestling with him. Shot clock's at 15. Cohen looks over the top. Mulholland's drive. Stabbed there by Chase Erlin.
Nice stop.
Erlin looking for the outlet. Kilrain's on the go. Fast break time for the Blue Jays. Degnan, hitch, gets to the middle. Had that broken up. Well defended. Van Wees was there again. Ball down, and Michigan has control thanks to the cross of Mason Whitney.
It's Michigan defense not giving an inch.
Timeout call with an injured Blue Jay as Kilrain is slow to get back to his feet.
That shot by Garrett Degnan in the Ohio State game in the fourth quarter, that was a similar play where he got to the middle of the field, lost his shoe, and canned it. It was one of the bigger goals in the Hopkins run that kept their momentum going. That one doesn't even make it to cage. Is that a harbinger of things, the way this game's going to continue to play out?
There's the collision that left Kilrain down on the deck and in need of attention from Ryan Slay and Morgan Kaimig. This is that last Degnan bid that was muted on its way to the goal.
Perfectly timed check by Van Wees, and it looked like it hit his defensive counterpart. And this is big for Hopkins, because if Kilrain is banged up, hopefully he can get back into the play pretty fast. But now you face down on close for the Blue Jays.
Brown running for cover, plays with Aronson. Swing it on around here for Bain as he angles in. Check there by Patrick Deans. Martin, that's Brett, who's had the hitch in his get-along. We've seen that today, 12 in the white. Cohen slams on the brakes. Topside on Deans. Tough catch there. Fires, that's broken up. Crossing through that shooting channel was Scott Smith.
And that was Carson Brown, number 11 in white, I believe, who took that shot. He is the replacement defensively at the moment for Quentin Kilrain.
Off this roll, it's Bain floating it for Brown again. Deflected, and it's Carson Brown for Johns Hopkins, making sure to keep tabs on Justin of Michigan.
Nice job by Carson Brown. Played extensively last season with the injury to Deans at the long stick midfield position. Hasn't gotten as much run in 2024, but as you just saw, and he gets a high five from defensive coordinator Jamison Kestner. He came in at a big moment, made two big plays, and now Kilrain looks like he's good to go, and we'll check back into the contest.
Casey McDermott with Brendan Grimes a long way from the goal now. Blue Jays trailing by 3. 10 minutes to go in the fourth. Ayers on the dead run, kicks it back for Melendez. Grimes once more. Cahal Roberts will keep him occupied. Angeles on a roll dodge. Plays a two-man game with McDermott. Working on the outside for Degnan, who'll sweep from the top. Not much there. Degnan crossing his right hand, fires. Just missed it to the outside of the post.
That big body, just guys bouncing off of him, and he puts a stick in his right hand and almost sticks it.
Melendez loads up here. Spins. Swing it back behind, 8 seconds. On the shot clock, the feed inside, that was too soft. Deflected down, and the Wolverines come up with the scoop. Cahal Roberts.
Yeah, that was McDermott on the feed, and you described it perfectly, Joe. Just a lazy pass. You put a little bit more zip on that, I think Hopkins would have had an opportunity.
Mulholland to clear. Michigan in the driver's seat by 3 with 9 minutes to go. First ever meeting in the Big Ten tournament for these two schools. First ever postseason meeting of any kind for Michigan and Johns Hopkins.
And Hopkins going deeper in their defensive rotation. 13, Luke Martin, a freshman, out at long pole now for the Blue Jays. So the heat, the environment may be taking its toll.
We were told that we wouldn't see much, if at all, of Jacob Stabner today.
Yeah.
So Luke Martin gets elevated in that LSM position. Ronda fires, that's broken up in front. Michigan stays with the ricochet. 20 seconds more to shoot. Ryan Cohen, jump shot, rejected by Chase Erlin. Erlin held strong to the post there. Blue Jays need a ground ball. Strong hitting effort there from Ronda. More body contact near midfield. And out of the pack, who comes up with it but Mulholland for Michigan.
Weight room. Mulholland was able to absorb and soak a couple checks that had him pinned down. Lost it momentarily, but comes out. He's exhausted coming off the field, but that is just a heart and strength play by Michigan.
Quickly, we are halfway home in the fourth. Still looking for the first tally in this final frame. 10-7 as we were in favor of Michigan after 3. Lockwood turning and burning here. Cohen checks over his shoulder. Aronson from the top. Zuluk with him stride for stride. Michigan now more deliberate later in this fourth quarter.
Yeah, I like it. You bleed the clock as much as possible.
Boehm just missed that one by a whisker. Backed up on the end line by Cohen. Cohen with points in 45 straight.
And you can tell this Hopkins defense is tired. They played a lot of defense here in the fourth quarter. Extended possession with that ground ball by Mulholland after an extended possession already. Good news for the Wolverines.
Gatto on the feed inside. It gets away from Lockwood. It belongs to Johns Hopkins' Luke Martin, younger brother of Brett. Blue Jays with 6.5 to go.
You just feel like the next goal in this game is going to be gigantic for either team. It's either going to be the icing on the cake for Michigan, or it's going to be the spark that can ignite Hopkins and put a fire in their belly.
Bauer on the go. Waiting, redodging, shoved down to the deck by Bolig. Strong defensive efforts from Carson Bolig. That pass gets away from Angeles. Taylor sprinting from the goal. Comes up with a first-time grounder, does the Michigan keeper, and sends out Pedersen.
He is low-key sensational outside the crease. That was similar to a ground ball that he picked up on this end of the field against Ohio State at the end of regulation when Michigan almost coughed up a 4-goal lead. Ohio State had an opportunity last regular season game to tie it. Loose ball at goal line extended. Taylor comes out, picks up a ground ball similar to that one. He geeks something like that. It's an empty net.
Hunter just seems to have a knack for the ground balls at the clutch moments. Morgan on the go. Aviles is there with him. Aviles plants Morgan to the turf, and there's a flag down.
That is unfortunate for Aviles. That was a sensational play, and then he's just trying to get the ball. And by rule, you cannot body check a man when he is on the ground, and Aviles does that, and that draws the flag.
Aviles has committed the most penalties for the Blue Jays this season. And this is a Johns Hopkins team that is the most penalized in all the Big Ten. Five minutes, 16 seconds to go.
White 10, cross check, 1 minute, timeout blue. Timeout blue.
So it is a cross check against Johns Hopkins.
And a chance for us to pay a few bills. A TV timeout. Get you back to Columbus for this one's exciting conclusion.
Gotta be more careful than that.
So, the Blue Jays man-down unit is on the hot seat, protecting Chase Erlin in what is a 3-goal lead for Michigan. Lockwood working from the top. Boehm and Cohen on the exterior. Tiernan, as always, hovering in the crease, bouncing out to a high crease now, 44 in blue. Here he comes downhill, fires, he laced that one wide, backed up by Aronson.
Yeah, I like how Michigan's staying aggressive. They're not just milking the clock. They're continuing to put pressure on this Hopkins defense. Worst case scenario, you get out with possession.
Boehm, slick, looking for that diagonal pass to Aronson. Roughhousing there with Chase Erlin, who's a long way from the cage. We hear the whistle.
That's going to be a push on Erlin. Just trying to make a play, trying to hustle and extend that clip, and you'll see Erlin with the shove right in the back.
4:25 to go in regulation time. Michigan at one point in this game trailed 6-1. Ripped from the outside, that's on the outside of the goal from Cohen. Erlin has a chance to clear. Desperate times now for the Blue Jays, trailing by 3, the top seed in the Big Ten tournament. This is semifinal number 1, Maryland and Penn State, soon to be warming up. A game you'll catch on Big Ten Network approximately 8:30 Eastern. Peshko settling into a 6-on-6. More offensive-minded subs coming off the bench for Peter Milliman, namely Matt Collison. Do-it-all midfielder has been quiet today. Goals in 11 straight before play began. Collison not on the board just yet.
Good
no
defense.
Shooting channel there for Bauer.
Just really good defense, Joe.
It continues for Michigan. Carson Billig has been strong from his short stick defensive midfield spot. Defenders hung up now. Lopping it over the top was Angeles. With it back behind the cage for Melendez. He'll work against Pedersen. 12 seconds to shoot. Pedersen muscling up. A look-away pass. Gets away from Collison on the sideline. He does track it down and keep it alive. And the shot clock will expire against Johns Hopkins.
The Blue Jays just can't win a matchup. They are being physically dominated by this Michigan defense. It is just mind-boggling that this game at one point was 6-1 Johns Hopkins, and they've only been able to find the back of the net once since they scored that 6th goal at the beginning of the 2nd quarter.
In women's action, Penn State victorious. Semifinal play in Evanston, Illinois. Nittany Lions beating the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers, so Penn State will clash with Northwestern for the Big Ten women's tournament title. Michigan would like to punch through and be the first finalist in the Big Ten men's bracket. They're 2 minutes and 12 seconds away from doing so. Blue Jays get the ball back, but there's a flag or two hitting the turf.
It looks like emotions. Ryan Cohen better be careful. But it looks like emotions getting the best of Johns Hopkins as Cohen able to draw a foul behind the crease, behind the play. Nothing has gone right for Hopkins here on this Thursday afternoon. Hopkins gets the turnover. Cohen and Scott Smith, and there it is, the chin music delivered by Scott Smith, and he's saying, hey, the guy wouldn't let me go. That just makes life, so Cohen engaging Smith gets the attention of the officials. When you extend your arms and hit a guy in the chops like that, typically, law of averages, second guy always gets caught. And his action was much more egregious.
Officials today, Poland, Belk, and Sexton.
Loose interference, field of play, giving the ball to Blue, and we have dead ball, 40 Blue, unnecessary, and 18.
Michigan gunning for its
1 minute each.
second highest, I would say, ranked opponent in terms of victory. They beat Maryland when Maryland was then number 2 last April.
They're taking two guys, Joe. It's Cohen and Smith are both going to the box, so it's 5-on-5. Michigan, since Scott Smith was so they called interference on Ryan Cohen. That's a 30-second foul. The 1 minute foul and the dead ball foul becomes Scott Smith, and that's why Michigan gets possession.
Blue Jays going to double the ball. Erlin's going to cover up on Tiernan, so the cage is empty. Michigan's only win over Johns Hopkins in program history, April of 21 at Homewood. Josh Zawada and Jake Bonomi had hat tricks that day. Boehm has 5 goals, turning towards the empty cage. He sent it high. Less than 2 minutes separating Michigan from another Big Ten tournament final. Wolverines took down Maryland at Homewood Field to win it last year at this time. They'd love the chance to defend it on Saturday.
Particular are tournaments that the Hopkins and the rest of the country are paying most attention to.
It's not over yet. 1:52 left in the fourth. Once again, Blue Jays doubling the ball. Chase Erlin vacating the crease. As Johns Hopkins looks for the turnover, Ronda runs for cover. With sprinter speed, He leaves Hunter Juronsky there in the dust. Juronsky playing with a long stick. Exchanging here for Tiernan as the Wolverines play keep away. That's Chase Erlin. Erlin helping out with Carson Brown. Not going to the goal of the Wolverines. Showing discipline now. Protecting a 3-goal advantage. Aronson continues the game of keep away. Bain, brilliant again this evening. On the flip with Cohen, nearly decapitated there by Zuluk. There's a flag down. It's going to be against 44 in white. And we get the whistle. 8 unanswered goals at one time in this game for Michigan, completely turning the tables on the Blue Jays.
And oftentimes this stage of the season, coaches will try to sell you on their resume when they're on the bubble. Kevin Connery was very honest with us. He goes, we know we're not in. We know we have to win at least one, probably both games this weekend to get into the NCAA tournament, obviously with the AQ. You like that honesty.
The last 30 seconds here for the Blue Jays. Peshko, run to the ditch by Pedersen, and Pedersen's on his way to the box. Extra man time for the Blue Jays. Johns Hopkins asking for time and getting it. Setback. Trying to get this one across the finish line. Angeles on the sprint. Swims to the inside. Bouncer on the way. Went right through the goal mouth. There's another flag down.
Looks like Angeles draws a push call.
Push, 30 seconds.
Hopkins lived dangerously on this field a couple weeks ago and was able to come back against Ohio State. Looks like no such luck tonight against Michigan.
This one rattles around the headgear of Jack Whitney. Johns Hopkins was 5-0 on the road in the regular season. They had won their last 5 heading into play today. Michigan, the Wolverines, making the trip from Ann Arbor to Columbus. And it's the Maize and Blue to celebrate a date in Saturday's Big Ten Tournament Championship game.